Hello, I'm Alex today, and I am a recovering alcoholic. I'm here to read the Daily Reflections book for August 13th, 2026. It's called A Clean Sweep. ... And third, having thus cleaned, let me say something first. I said ... and third. That's because yesterday it started with first, and then it said some stuff, and then it said next, and it said more stuff, and then it said ... and now it says and third, having thus cleaned away the debris of the past, we consider how, with our newfound knowledge of ourselves, we may develop the best possible relations with every human being we know. That can be found in the 12 Steps and 12 Traditions book on page 77, whereas the rest of the first and the second things can be found also on page 77. And it probably relates to how, with our newfound knowledge of ourselves, like making a list, moral inventory, that kind of thing. Oh boy. As I faced the 8th step, everything that was required for successful completion of the previous 7 steps came together. Courage, honesty, sincerity, willingness, and thoroughness. That's 5 things, it looks like. I could not muster the strength required for this task at the beginning, which is why this step reads became willing, rather than like because I am willing. I needed to develop the courage to begin, the honesty to see where I was wrong, a sincere desire to set things right, thoroughness in making a list, and willingness to take the risks required for true humility. So needed to develop these qualities of courage, honesty, some kind of sincere desire, thoroughness, and willingness. 5 more qualities or virtues to take the risk required for true humility. With the help of my higher power in developing these virtues, I completed this step and continue to move forward in my quest for spiritual growth. Wow. So a couple of things, and then I'll see if I can wrap this one up quickly. Okay. 8th step says, made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. And why today am I reading this particular reading? Because of the date. It's August 13th. I wanted to make a video. I'm making a video about this stuff in this book found on today's date, page August 13. And it's August, the 8th month. So I reckon that this book is talking about 8th step type of things during the 8th month. Likewise, last month, the 7th month, it was talking about 7th step type things. And over many years, like 20, after about, well, let's see, in the last 10 years, I started to notice a pattern, just because I'm human maybe, and it's a coincidence, or they put it together in this way that it looks like each month has 4 weeks. Each week is comprised of 7 days. So the first 7 days in this book of each new reading, like this month, August, the next 7 days, which would be days 8 through 15, I think, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14, all those days it's talking about methodology of the step, how you might get it done, the things we do. So it's very educational if you look at it that way, or it could be very educational if you looked at it that way, and I'm correct, or they are correct, or whatever. So the first 7 days is orientation. Here's all this crap. What can you make of it? And it will give us ideas on how to make sense of it. And then the next 7 days, which we're in right now, the 13th, it will give us the way to do these things. I need to take care of something quickly here. And then I'll be back to keep talking about the 8th step. For August 13th, a clean sweep. So, seeing as how we're in the a more action orientated part of the step, we're actually doing something now. We're sweeping, a clean sweep. And third, having thus cleaned away the debris, maybe swept after sweeping away the debris of the past, we consider how, with our newfound knowledge of ourselves, we may develop the best possible relations with every human being we know. So what was the 8th step again? We made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. And I want to break that down into pieces, smaller pieces. The first two obvious ones. Maybe the first three obvious ones. First thing, I made a list. What kind of list? Of people I had harmed. And then another obvious part of the step, it says, made direct amends to such people. I'm sorry, that's step 9. Made a list of all persons we had harmed, comma, and became willing to make amends to them all. And then that's like 2 more parts. I became willing to make amends. I became willing to make amends to who? To all people I had harmed. Not just 1 or 2, but all. So, you know what? That might be a clue that maybe you had harmed every single other person on the planet. If you've been alive for less than 100 years, the population at that point had been easily well over 4 billion. You know, I think it's 6.5 billion right now, but let's just be conservative and safe. Over 4 billion people. So in my little hypothetical here, if you had harmed every single person during your drinking in the span of your lifetime of slightly less than 100 years, you had harmed 4 billion other people. How? It's like this Santa Claus paradox thing. It's like, how can, in one night, how can one person, maybe a god, how can one god, such as Santa Claus, traverse the entire planet and give the proper gifts to every child that deserved them? How would he know who deserved them? How could he locate them all? How could he actually physically convey himself? You know, sure, it's a magic sleigh, it flies or whatever. And it's run by what? Faith? I forget what. Or love. I forget. Anyhow, breaking down this 8th step into 4 pieces, made a list. What kind of list? Of all people we had harmed, which in my hypothetical is every single other person on the planet, 4 billion, and became willing to make amends to who? Every single other person on the planet, 4 billion people, all the people we had harmed. That's the breaking it down into 4 pieces. Now, what the clue I see here is that the step is more so, I don't know by how much more so, but I think it's more so concerned with ourselves getting into a condition where we're willing to make amends. And I think I've already talked about this maybe 3 days ago in the great big long video again, with 2 parts, that before I can even become willing, I had this, this is personally me, before I, Alex, could become willing, I had to become aware that there had been any harm. Let me rephrase this a little bit. Before I could become willing to make an amend for an alleged harm, Alex here had to become aware that there was a harm. And then there's a bunch of litigation going on with my inner critic and judge up here saying, well, that, you know, they started it, they deserved it, and it wasn't that big of a deal, and that kind of thing. And that may be true, and that could be all well and good. Yesterday I got into this thing about why can't we just rest in our newfound golden present. It says, couldn't I put the past out of my mind and just live in my new golden present? I realize that those in the past were the ones standing between me, Alex, and serenity or sanity over here. I still had some relic of the past, or some memory, more likely, of some harm I had caused. That's that Robert Cialdini calls it, I forget his technical name, but he's a psychology guy, about the influence and such, and the way humans operate, why we do things, and a bunch of a group of these scientists working with them, psychologists, not like parapsychologists, but real bona fide psychologists. You know, I don't know if they were PhD type or PsyD, which there's a slight difference in the scope of their research efforts, I believe. But anyways, Cialdini was calling this thing the click whir. Click whir. That's this tape recorder inside your head that just will play this thing over and over every time you're prompted, like Pavlov's dog thing with the bell and the food and all that, that you just brainwash an organism, such as a dog, by every time it hears a bell and then you feed it food, every time that dog starts hearing a bell, he thinks he's getting food. Something like that. Well, whatever. It's just, why'd I bring that up? See, I knew I was in danger of doing that. Why can't we just live in the golden present? Maybe you can. I couldn't. Alex couldn't. I was losing sleep. I was click whir. I kept replaying the tape of the harm that I had caused people. Sometimes I've just somehow managed to forget people. So in one way, successfully lived in the golden present on like borrowed time where I didn't remember causing harm. Okay, but it always came back. So now over 20 years of being sober, and what did it say about our newfound awareness of ourselves or something like that? A clean sweep. And third, having thus cleaned away the debris of the past. That's like these people standing in our way of, here we're in stress, and here's this person or the tape machine playing this message of harm, and then here's our golden present comprised of sanity and serenity and sobriety. Let's say that, make an alliteration, it might be easier to remember. So we consider how, with our newfound knowledge of ourselves, because man, we've done a lot of work to get to step 8. And that's kind of the way the program is designed. Is who's the guy? Father Martin broke down the 12 steps into 3 groups of 4 steps. And the first 4 steps are trust God, 2 words, trust God. So it's kind of about honesty and something much bigger than yourself. And then the second grouping of 4 steps is clean house. Step 4, say, for example, made a fearless and searching moral inventory of ourselves. That's cleaning house. That's looking at all aspects of your life and making a list of, here's some good things, here's some bad things about me. And then the third grouping of 4 steps is called help others. So this newfound knowledge of yourself, Alex here was up at night sweating the small stuff and not helping others yet. And then I became aware of this thing, a clean sweep. Having thus cleaned away the debris of the past, you might look at that as the first preceding 7 steps I've done to get to the 8th step, which is made a list of all persons we had harmed, and something else, became willing to who? All of the people I had harmed. That's a lot of mental gymnastics, if you will. Newfound knowledge of ourselves. We develop the best possible relations with every human being we know. Now that's like another clue that this all is huge. It's a gigantic number. There must be a way of working that number down, and I think there is, and that's why I was saying step 8 is, I think, more of getting I think what the little red book here says, I could quote it directly maybe, or read it right off the page, I meant to say, that after doing like the 5th step, the way I look at this thing is you can and might even try to do the 5th step, 6th step, 7th step, like all at once. Say you've just done your 4th step. You made this list of, I'm an evil ogre because I lie to people. I'm a liar, say, your 4th step list. Your moral compass or direction, what's it? A fearless and searching moral inventory indicates you are a liar and you agree with it and you want to fix it. Just as soon as you got done writing the punctuation mark after I am a liar, period, you move right into doing your 5th step. And you explain the exact nature of your wrong to another human being, to God and yourself, not necessarily in that order. The nature of myself is I am a liar. It's nuanced. You know, I deceive people, and then the reasons why and all of that. But as soon as you get done telling this other person and God and yourself, well, I think the biggest problem here is I am a liar. I want to fix that. That right there is kind of the edge of the beginning of becoming willing to look at this debris, these past actions that are blocking us from becoming sober, serene, and sane again. So 5, 6, and 7 can be done all in one sitting, let's say. Now we're at step 8. We make this list of the people we had lied to, because being a liar, I guess that requires a victim, if you will. I had to lie to someone. I lied to Bob, let's say. Test subject B, Bravo. Alex or Alice, test subject A, Alpha, lied to test subject B, Bravo. What did I just call him? I forget now already. Bob. This is who I lied to. So I became willing to make amends to Bob because I lied to him, because I used to be of the nature of deception and I would lie to people. I recognize that as being painful. This click whir thing won't stop playing the tape. I keep hearing it in my head over and over and over, whatever I did to Bob, and every time I hear it, it seems to feel worse and worse and worse. I continued drinking it. That didn't help. I got sober. That didn't help at all, really, at the beginning, because now I couldn't even numb the pain. And then I started working the steps out of desperation to start to feel better. And it works that way. At least it worked for Alex here, test subject A, Alpha, Alex, or Alice. I started working the steps in my limited juvenile understanding and fully out of self-pride and desperation and pain. And the pride thing kept me from getting a sponsor. These two things, or one thing. And so for 2 years, I was miserable. It took me 2 years before I could do the 5th step. And then it took another 8 years before I did like a complete, honest, thorough 8th step. Yes. I did a 5th step to get out of treatment. That was hardly a frosting on the cake. The cake was incomplete, but I did enough to pass and graduate, or should I say, to be released from treatment, and had a strong desire to get better, to stay sober this time. So there's a bunch of stuff that I'm not going to bother you with right this minute. I think the 8th step, first primarily, is about becoming willing. So you need to change a bunch of stuff up here, or maybe just a couple things. And it's like humility needs to play more of a role in your life. Instead of pride, I can do this. I can do this all by myself. I don't need anybody to help with this. Well, if you look at the evidence, maybe the evidence tells you that's true. Maybe the evidence tells you you've done kind of poorly all by yourself. If you go look and gather more data and find out that a lot of people have had sponsors and you like the results they got, why don't you try running their experiment? Why don't you try their methodology? Why don't you try and repeat their actions? If you read all these books, these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 books to begin with, that's a lot of reading. That takes a lot of time. You could die easily before you finish one of these books. This book, the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous, with tiny print in a big, thick book, my big, thick novel, but this is nonfiction, my big, thick novel by Jack Handy from SNL, Saturday Night Live, in the 80s and 90s. That guy's a brilliant guy. Anyways, oh, what the heck am I talking about? This 8th step is kind of more about becoming willing, so changing your mindset or an attitude. We're at 25 minutes. I'm trying to stay at 30. Okay, say you've become willing. Now what? Start making these amends to all people you had harmed. Again, all people I harmed everybody. 4 billion people. I can't do that. I can't make an amend to all these people. However, with my newfound willingness, should it present itself an opportunity to be able to make amends to this vast crowd of people, I would do it. However, this program says things like first things first, and easy does it, and these other short phrases that still kind of poke at me because I figure I'm more complex than that and I need some big, huge answer for any problem I have because I'm special, I'm unique. A simple statement like easy does it is not going to do it for me. I need a team of MIT educated psychologists and psychiatrists, the guys with the drugs, to look at my messed up brain. And wow, I've never seen this before. No, this book right here has seen all of it before. I will guarantee it up to 90%. That any malady you are suffering from, if it's related at all to alcoholism, you're going to find a link in here, you're going to find a story, and it's going to shock you that it's like, wow, that's me. So it's a fantastic book in that sense. However, if you're of the scientific mind like myself, or just a reasonably skeptical, if you're reasonably skeptical of anything and you hear some piece of evidence, let's just call it, you want to know if you can verify it and falsify it. It's like, okay, it came from here. I need to figure out what here is, if they're reputable, if their experiment was valid, and now I need to run that experiment myself and see if I can repeat it or falsify it. I can prove it wrong or I can prove it right by running it over and over with the same situation. And that's why, again, this book, although not written by a team of, board-approved doctors of any degree, except for at the beginning, it's introduced by Dr. Silkworth, I believe, or it might be Silkwood. I forget. It doesn't. I just getting all over the joint, man. Become willing. It isn't like this huge thing, and all people you'd harm, that isn't like this huge. You can do all this. You could almost say you got this room with a couch and another person in there, and you give the 5th step confession, let's call it, your statement in how you're pleading your case in life of being a dishonest person, and you start to agree with the charges, and you try and plea yourself down to a lesser sentence maybe, and you go into this room and you tell the judge, hey man, I'm a liar, what are you going to do to me? I can take it because I'm willing to start paying because I want to feel better. I hate this losing sleep thing. And they tell you, well, that was your drinking. That was you, Alex, are not the liar so much. You are human, however. You're susceptible to taking a shortcut. And a lot of times humans will lie to conserve energy. So we do that, and then it catches up with us because we're also very emotional beings. And we can cause a lot of psychic damage easily. And then it bugs us at great harm or at great levels. I'm going to stop here. Oh, I didn't finish saying this. So what do? Fifth step, you blurt out all this bad stuff or what you think is bad stuff, or you blurt out all this stuff, neutral, that is bad to you to be thinking this stuff, and you need some help with it. You explain to somebody, and they go, hey, that ain't so bad. And then you feel better, man, instantly. And then it's easy to do step 6 and 7. I want these defects removed, and you humbly ask for these shortcomings to be removed by your power greater than yourself, by a higher power, by God, in other words. I don't know who your God is, so just consider God good, orderly direction if you need to. And then if you need another baby step thing, do a little often, keep going to meetings, and call that collective of other human beings in the room that could be getting better results than you are. If perchance they are getting better results than you are, call them your higher power. Ask them how to remove your defects. And then imagine that they can remove them because, hey, guess what? Next week, they're all back in that same room again. It gets to be kind of dependable, or reliable, I should say, first. And then you can depend on it in a way that can be a slippery slope. But because we're not to put any other up on a pedestal, because we're all humans and we can all fail terribly, very easily, regardless of what they look like on the outside. It's like, well, anyhow, so, man, this, do step 5, 6, and 7 on the same couch, just immediately following step 5. And then you can do 6 and 7 right away after you're at step 8, and say you become willing because, man, you've already humbled yourself and you confessed all your wrongness, the nature of your wrongs, your moral shortcomings, or whatever it says in the 4th step. It's like, what do I do to fix this? You do step 8, like the beginning of some real heavy action that you can tangibly get your hands on. You make a list of people you harmed and become willing to repair these damages. So that's just sitting on the couch. You don't have to move. You go in this room, you confess, you say all this stuff, and then that person leaves the room. You do